Good morning, Brownsville. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you're watching this feed. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Frankie Olivo. Our program focuses on the very important issues that are affecting our local community. We have shed light on injustices and we have allowed for our platform, this mic, to be that of the voice of the people. Now, if this is something you can see yourself supporting, well, we ask that you join the cause. Currently, right now, this live program is being streamed across all of our social media platforms, and we encourage you to follow them. You, we could be found on X, formerly known as Twitter, and on Facebook under Frankie Olivo. Make sure you follow our personal page on Facebook. We could be found under Olivo Frankie. But more importantly, if you haven't already, make sure that you create a Gmail account, go to YouTube, like, subscribe, and follow our YouTube page titled Frankie Olivo TV. It's free. Currently, right now, we are at 885 subscribers. The goal by the end of this year is to reach 1,000. I did promise the community that if you helped me reach 1,000 subscribers, which is absolutely free, doesn't cost you a dime, we will release 3 very juicy stories. We have one story involving administrators having sex on campus on school time. That is ready to go. You want to know the details of exactly what happened and who did the hokey pokey? Well, help me subscribe and reach to 1,000. We also have a politico who overstepped his boundaries or her boundaries. That story is ready to go. Again, everything that we talk about comes with receipts, ladies and gentlemen. And as of late, there is a high school grading scandal, not involving students, but involving counselors. Would you like to know what counselors did to jeopardize the livelihood and career of a student in favor of the other? Would you be alarmed to learn that the student that benefited from it, their parent is a counselor at that very school? Again, ladies and gentlemen, I have 3 juicy stories, one involving sex, one involving harassment, and the other one involving a grading scandal. If you would like to know in detail with receipts in regards to these stories, I ask something very simple of my community. Go to Frankie Olivo TV on YouTube, like, follow, and subscribe to our channel. It is absolutely free. Remember, Good Morning Brownsville will come on Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. religiously. All we ask is something very simple of the community. Be part of the cause. Subscribe and follow all of our social media platforms. I will never, ever ask you for money, Brownsville. I will never, ever ask you for food. Well, with the holidays coming, I just might. So make sure that you subscribe to our social media platforms. More importantly, make sure you subscribe to YouTube under Frankie Olivo TV to tune in. We will never, ever be silenced. And always remember, Brownsville, we are forever grateful to each and every one of you for the time and attention that you provide us. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. How we doing, chat? How we doing? Happy Wednesday. I hope each and every one of you have had a great start to your week. We are less than 2 weeks away from the much anticipated holidays, Turkey Day, where we are able to enjoy life, be thankful for the blessings, the many blessings that we have in each of our lives. I am one that is anticipating that the local festivities. Also, how's everybody enjoying the weather? It seems as if, South Texas is 70, 80 degrees, and then it drops, and then it goes back up. It's crazy, right? I personally love being under 3 or 4 San Marcoses, a long john, 2 underwears, a long sleeve, a sweater, and 2 socks. But that's just me. I like to stay warm. But I'm the type of person that has a abanico, a fan, going full blast right in my face. Hey, that's that's me. Ladies and gentlemen, today we will be talking about something that has been known, but like everything, it seems as if people are just not quick to call things out. And look, our platform, ladies and gentlemen, I'll never ever get tired of saying this. Our platform is designed in a way to hold our elected leaders and those in leadership positions accountable. We will never take personal shots. This isn't personal to me. This is business what we do. For far too long we've had individuals as elected leaders that they haven't done what's in our best interest. It always benefits them. Unfortunately, here in the city of Brownsville, we don't have investigative journalism to keep these politicos on the hot seat, to ask them those tough questions. We have been asked by several people to avoid certain things. We won't. We can't. Because we feel as if those that choose to serve the people are held to a higher standard, where we, the people, it's like how Captain Bob says, the organizational chart. We are their boss. They work for us, the community. But unfortunately, as of late, it seems as if that has not been the case. We can talk about that in regards to the city, the county, but for today's purposes, we'll be focusing on the school board. We titled our program The Conflict of Interest School Board that we have at BISD. Why do people run for public office? We would hope and pray that people genuinely want to make a positive impact within our community. We would think that individuals run to improve the quality of life. Essentially, that's what I want to do. In 5, 6, 8 years, whenever I'm done with what I have to do, and I ask for your support in whatever position that I run in, I genuinely want to improve your quality of life. I want to make your life better than before. Can we honestly say that? Yesterday's program, we focused on censuring school board member Carlos Elizondo. If you missed yesterday's program, I encourage you to go back and look at it. Because yesterday we focused on Carlos Elizondo and we did mention Minerva Peña, 2 individuals that have spent multiple tenures at the helm of BISD. And what do we have to show for it? Have we improved as a community because of the services of Elizondo and Peña? I have shown you in previous programs of how the school district has regressed. Tomorrow, we will be going live. Tomorrow, there is a facilities meeting where they will be discussing the possibility, it's going to happen, of school closures. Why is it that we have to wait to the 11th hour? Why is it that the cards are about to fall that now we decide, oh, you know what? We need to focus on maintenance. We need to focus on HVACs. We need to focus on repairs. It seems mind-boggling to me whenever, and I want to use you the viewer, you listening today, whenever you see something wrong at your house, don't you address it? My grandfather is in need of a new roof in the very near future. I have to make sure that I have anywhere from $8,000 to $12,000 to get that repair done. What happens if we leave something such as a roof go unattended? Eventually, water would come into the house. That expense is only going to get even more expensive. Why? Because we didn't address that issue, right? It's only logical. So why do these politicians wait to the 11th hour to say, we don't know what to do, the freaking house is falling, we need a bond, we need to increase your property taxes? That's the only thing we can do. We have argued about having plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D before even considering going out to the voters who we are already financially burdened, living paycheck to paycheck. We are being pulled from each and every angle. But they decided that. Why? Because they don't think logically. They don't care about you and your livelihood. They don't care if you have to pay double taxes in 5 years. Oh, well. So again, if you missed yesterday's program, I encourage you to follow it because I ask a very important question. Have we benefited from someone such as Carlos Elizondo and Minerva Peña being at the helm for 2 tenures? Minerva Peña is going on 20 years. What can she say? What can she say during her tenure that she can look the voter, you the voter, in the face and say, you know what? You need me. Whenever we think of a spouse, and I hate to use this, but whenever we think of a spouse, a girlfriend, a boyfriend, a husband, a wife, a partner, a lover, do we have them there just to look pretty? The Sanchos, do they just have a Sancho just because? No, porque está rico. The wife, the husband, why are you with them? Because you love them, because they provide a benefit for you. And there's no way in life you could continue without having that person in your life because they add so much value. Right? Patricia, estamos hasta la madre. Ya basta. That's what I want my people to start thinking about. I think little by little, people are starting to catch la onda. People are starting to realize, so these people, they want to increase my property taxes. I've been loud and clear, ladies and gentlemen, whenever these 5 people, or all the board, whenever each board member is up for re-election, I'm going to ask for you not to vote for them. Why, Diaz? Why? Because we should treat our vote such as how a business is run. In your job, in your profession, whether you have one right now or previously, weren't you expected to meet a certain goal? Weren't you expected to meet a certain quota? Well, what happens if you don't meet that quota? It's only fair, right? Because the business does not want nobody just because they're pretty. They want you to apply your talents and produce. Who wants somebody just there? That's what really bothers me, because these people really have a very important obligation, a very important duty to come through for us. And they don't. And they can't. Again, whenever we talk to people, I would dare say that 80, 90% of those individuals, whenever you ask them, do you have any faith in the politico? They say no. They're all what? They're all on the take. They're all corrupted. Ask them if you don't believe me. Do you believe in PUB? Do you believe in the city of Brownsville? Do you believe in Cameron County and the commissioner's court, who all they do is give themselves a raise? You believe in that? Do you believe in BISD? Believe in BISD. The reason why I chose to speak about the conflicts of interest that we're going to go board member by board member is because I want to paint a picture for you. The picture that I want to paint is, while the BISD school district is in decline for the past 10 years that I've been actively following this school board, we have regressed. The charter schools, IDEA, they're eating up our lunch. We have liberals, the teachers union, say, oh, well, y'all ran a negative campaign, and oh, Governor Abbott, and oh, President Trump, and it's their fault, and the funding, and this, that, and that. Why don't they blame our school board members? Again, ladies and gentlemen, we're dealing with a budget of $500 million, $609 million budget. It's the largest budget that BISD has ever had. The largest. You mean to tell me that we can't make repairs? We can't give teachers raises? We can't do improvements? We can't improve the overall quality of service with $600 million? Good God Almighty. We really need to reflect and properly manage our assets, properly manage our finances. It's like those people that make 40, it's like those people that make 60, 70, 80, $90,000 and they still can't manage. And you're like, whoa, like what's going on? Here in Brownsville, 40,000, you could make it off 40,000. Ideally, you want more, but 40,000, gets the necessities, maybe not luxuries, but necessities. Having conflicts of interest, ladies and gentlemen, is a big issue here in our school district, because ultimately what happens, ladies and gentlemen, is whenever there is a conflict of interest, the effects on a school board leads to the public losing its trust. Here in Brownsville, we're struggling. When BISD is already struggling with a lack of public belief or confidence, the presence of conflicts of interest, they make the situation far worse. A conflict of interest occurs when a board member's personal, financial, or professional interests interfere or appear to interfere with their duties to make fair, objective decisions for the benefit of students and staff, and more importantly, we, the community. This environment is one where trust is already fragile. Even with the perception of such conflicts, it can deeply damage the board's credibility and effectiveness. What does that lead to ultimately? It leads to a lot of things. It leads to the erosion of public trust, of poor decision making. It could possibly break down future collaborations, legal and ethical consequences. Heck, Elizondo's being investigated by the FBI for providing the insurance vendors with information that he shouldn't have given them. But more importantly, ladies and gentlemen, this could lead, having conflicts of interests. And I think now the community is slowly starting to see this. Now, having conflicts of interest really affects our reputation moving forward. What, we thought that when Sylvia Atkinson was no longer around, we were out of the woodworks? That's not the way it works. The way it works is someone sees an opening, someone sees an opportunity, and someone takes it. Many people thought that Carlos Elizondo and many of his supporters currently right now think that, oh, he is the saving grace of BISD. We will recap that in a few minutes and remind you, he is not in it for you want to talk about corruption, Cuevas? I hate to deviate from my program. Let me guess, you're a liberal Democrat who supported the previous administration that had an open border policy that gave thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars to illegals before our homeless, before our veterans. You want to talk about corruption? You want to talk about the auto pen? You want to talk about all the pardons? You really want to go down that route? We hold our elected leaders accountable. And look, Cuevas, where do I have a bigger impact? You want to call me out? I love being called out. Where do I have a greater impact? Talking about the president, talking about the governor, talking about people that will probably never know who Good Morning Brownsville is, who have no idea who Frankie Olivo is. But you know who hears me? You know who watches? You know who tunes in? The politicos in Cameron County, the politicos in South Texas. So while you may complain about corruption, why don't you join me in the cause? Why don't you say enough is enough? Why is it okay for you to support these individuals? Why is it? Again, we get criticized a lot, but where do we have a bigger impact, Manrique? In local issues. You don't think the school board is watching right now? You don't think the Glass Palace actively tunes in? Ladies and gentlemen, I say this with all humility. We are listened to by the thousands. And for that, Brownsville, much love. I'm humbled and thankful. I will never let this get to my head. I promise you that. So, Cuevas, why not talk about the local issues? Why not get involved here locally? Again, we do our job of keeping people informed about what happens at the national, at the state level. But to you, Cuevas, what's more important? Obviously, everything's important, right? The federal, state level issues, those are important. But where do you really feel it? Here locally. Here locally. So again, I try my best to call a spade a spade. But I could only do so much. Imagine how stronger we would be. Imagine what a coalition that we can build together as a community. And look, many people have messaged me, have called me shortly after the voters rejected the BISD bond of $500 million. And they said, you had a great part in this. It was all you. It was all you. Were very vocal. I was like, I'm just another brick in the wall. It was you, the community, that came out. It was people like Captain Bob, Arturo Trevino, Bautista, Dr. Cisneros, Munoz, Miller, Susan, Katy, Trevino, Vanessa. It was people like y'all that started to disseminate this information and advise the community, hey, if you don't take action, if you don't vote, if you don't come out, you're going to feel it. Don't let them get this on us. It was you, the community, that did this. I have said this from the very beginning, and I'll continue to do so. Ladies and gentlemen, what I do, many people say, oh, you do this for attention. You do this for clout, for likes. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody knows who Frankie Olivo is, dick pic and all. I don't need attention. I don't do this for myself. You think this benefits me? You think this benefits my profession? I'm constantly losing clients because of what I say. That will never deter me. That will never change what I feel. I will never change. I think that you should respect that. All of us. Why do I do this? One, very importantly, because I want you to always remember the name of Erasmo Castro. Whenever you ask who this crazy man is, Frankie Olivo, you know who's always going to be brought up? His name. Always going to be brought up. That is my way of honoring his legacy, keeping his name alive. But more importantly, why do I want to do this? Because people always criticize me and say, "Oh well, if you have any political aspirations, well, this is going to affect you, and you should think long and hard before you say what you say." You think I give a about that? I don't. I'd rather go out swinging than be another person that sees corruption. Look, whenever we see something wrong and we don't call out to their attention, what's that saying in Spanish? Tal que mata la vaca que le detiene la pata. We're accomplices. Aren't you sick and tired of politicians poking our eyes? Aren't you sick and tired of your tax dollars being wasted on things that really don't have such importance? I am. I learned from somebody that was very passionate about it. And conflicts of interest that we're going to talk about today in detail really bothers me. Because, we're here for the children, and yes, vote for me. But behind it, what? They're receiving kickbacks. They receive benefits from these entities, from these companies. Why do you think these 5 board members were so gung-ho on getting this passed? Because they were going to benefit from it. All the vendors were salivating from it. You don't think that they were going to fund their campaigns? Don't you think that? It is my job to remind you of what they're all about. So why do I do what I do? I do it because I want to be part of a movement. I want people to look back and say, man, this guy and this person and this person and this person and this person and this person, they were part of a change. That's what I do. I'm not in it for any personal agendas. I have a 4 or 5 year goal plan that in the next few months, it will start letting me know whether that's going to come through or not. I may not run in the very near future for politics. I have some other goals in mind that will help me, that will allow me to help the community even more. I may need to sacrifice myself for some time, but I got a bigger goal in mind. That's the way I've always thought. So, again, do I do this for clout? No, I don't. I really don't. I could care less what people think of me. I could care less what people say about me. But best believe they're going to respect what we have to say. They're going to tune in and say, a ver qué dijo ese loco. Because at the end of the day, we are all about the truth. We want you as a constituent to know exactly what is going on behind closed doors. That's the uniqueness of this program. We talk about things that politicos don't want you to hear. They really don't. So I humbly ask of you to join the cause. Again, I am not here to ask for pity. I'm not here to ask for money. All I ask for is something very simple. Follow our social media platforms. Look at the thing that I have on the screen all day, every day. Like and subscribe our YouTube channel titled Frankie Olivo TV. It's free, people. By you doing that, you're going to help me immensely. So I thank you. I thank you for tuning in, but I want you to do more than that. And this past election, it showed me a lot. It showed me that people are, you know what? Ya basta. They're tired. They're tired of these politicians saying, well, let's just raise their taxes. No pedo. It's okay. No, mijito. Let's have a plan A, B, C, D. Let's liquidate the properties. We have 7, 8 to 10 schools after this, with the closure of the school year. There's going to be another 7 to 10 schools. So we have anywhere from 14 schools that are going to be closed. If we can liquidate them, we can easily raise 100, 200, possibly $300 million if we stay at the market value that Cummings was sold at $16 million. Again, every year that passes, the market values goes up. So can we raise that money? Yes, we can. So again, my job is to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. As much as you don't want to know about this, I think you would appreciate this. Because ultimately, I will let you know that these politicos, especially this 7, aren't doing it for your best interests. And that is how we will start today's show. Denise Garza. Denise Garza is up for re-election. Her term ends this upcoming year. Currently, right now, she's already put her name in the ring for the Democratic Cameron County Clerk's position. She will be challenging Silvia Garza Perez, a political powerhouse. Many people have stated that Denise Garza, if she were to unsuccessfully challenge Silvia Garza, that Denise Garza will not run for public office. But again, that's what they say now. Would the temptation of coming back to BISD be too big to turn down? Possibly. What we have seen from someone like Denise Garza that has bounced around. And look, we're always looking for better opportunities, right? In our profession. At the end of the day, we want security. We want to have a peace of mind. We're always looking for that job that gives us better pay. We all want to climb that social economic ladder, right? There's nothing wrong with that, by all means. What we have seen from someone like Denise Garza is that she has used her political position, as everyone does, to benefit herself. Now, from my understanding, Denise Garza started at Brownsville ISD as a clerk. She moved to San Benito CISD as a clerk, the same position that she had. I forget what it was, dealing with insurance, dealing with Medicaid, dealing with that field. And then when she won her position at BISD while she was a board member, she got a position. And that employer was a vendor for the school district. Now, what we're about to talk about today is going to be very important because, again, I'm painting you a picture of how these people use their positions, our positions on that school board to benefit who? Benefit themselves in some sort of way. Denise Garza and her employer were actively seeking a contract with BISD these past, I want to say, 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. Now, for the record, Denise Garza did abstain from that vote. She got up and left. And it's to my understanding that agenda item did not pass. Erasmo Castro, we always shared everything pretty much. And at first he said, you know what? I'm glad the school board didn't vote on this because Denise Garza would have benefited from it. You know, how fishy is it that a school board member gets a job with an employer who is a vendor for BISD, and then lo and behold, they have an agenda item to get a contract for millions of dollars. I didn't look into the details in regards to that. After Erasmo Castro won this past election in November, a year ago. Wow, it's almost a year ago. Wow. We had that same discussion again. And he said, you know what? I think this benefits the school district. I think by having this vendor, thank you so much for this. I'll use it right when I talk about her. Thank you so much for the text message. I really appreciate you. Thank you. When Erasmo Castro brought it up again, he said, you know what? I think it's a good idea. I think it benefits the school district. And I said, well, I don't know. Again, he had all the details. Him being a school board, the school board president, him being a school board member. Well, they have all the details, all the information, whatever they ask for, they're given. And after he looked at all the fine print, everything, he said, you know what? I think this does benefit the school district. The only thing that looks bad is that Denise Garza works for that vendor. Now I think she works for the city, if I'm not mistaken. So essentially what we've seen from someone such as Denise Garza is that she bounces around. Again, nothing wrong with it. We are all looking for a better pay. We're all looking to progress ourselves. We all want to climb that ladder, right? But is she only getting these positions because of her being a school board member? Does she have a degree? Does she specialize in something? Does she have a master's? Does she have a doctorate? I do not think she has a degree. Nothing against that. I will never, ever call out people for not having degrees, because I have colleagues that don't have degrees and they're close to being millionaires. They're very, very good at what they do. I will never dare say that. But does a degree help? It doesn't hurt, right? So someone such as Denise Garza, she has benefited from her job. There was a conflict of interest at one time. For the record, she abstained. She didn't vote on the agenda item. But something to think about. Why did she get a job with this vendor? Did they think that she could come through, that she could sway? Because the number, again, the famous number is 4. You need 4 board members to pass an agenda item to gain a contract. Why did she get a job with that vendor in particular? Was she an expert? Maybe in the field, because again, she did focus on like insurance, on Medicaid, on that department, from Brownsville ISD to San Benito CISD. So maybe she was an expert in her field. But isn't that a coincidence, ladies and gentlemen? How these people magically get jobs at these places? Something to think about, isn't it? Something to think about. Minerva Peña has made the news as of late for all the wrong reasons. As of right now, currently, Minerva Peña has a tax lien of thousands of dollars. I want to say somewhere it's a big amount, anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000. It could be higher. There are many issues that are affecting that she is dealing with right now. But for today's purposes and for today's program, conflicts of interest, Minerva Peña was arrested for nepotism. I don't want to rehash the story because it is a very sensitive story, and that one that does affect me personally. A young lady took her life because of this incident. For today's purposes, I want to paint a picture and show you how each and every board member that is serving the community right now has a conflict of interest in some sort of way. They are not doing this for the betterment of the community. They, in some shape or fashion, they benefit from it. Minerva Peña had her daughter-in-law hired as a teacher. Back in 2021, she was arrested for nepotism. It was alleged that she used her position of authority as a school board member to get her daughter a job, her daughter-in-law a job. They ultimately gave her an ultimatum. And look, we covered this story in great detail. I could possibly post it for you for the chat. I guess I will do so. And in this story, they gave her an ultimatum. They said, look, either you resign from the board. If not, this young lady will get fired. Now, again, we have talked about previously how Minerva Peña, this isn't her first rodeo. After the completion of this term, she will have 20 years on that board. I am going to post the story that I did on Minerva Peña. If you want to tune in and watch it later, you're more than free to do so. They gave her an ultimatum: either you step down or we fire this young lady. Again, Minerva Peña has served the community for 20 years. You would think that she'd be like, you know what, man, I'm at the end of my career. I've served my community in different capacities. You know what? I'll let Mija, I'll let someone younger earn a paycheck, climb up that ladder at BISD and become something of herself. You know what she said? I ain't gonna resign. For what? What ended up happening? They fired that young woman, her daughter-in-law. She claimed that this individual was not her daughter-in-law. Court records showed that there was a marriage. There was no divorce. This young woman was so embarrassed, was so heartbroken of what her mother-in-law did to her, she took her own life. It pains me because she was a beautiful young woman. She had a promising future. I always said this. I love what I do. I get a hard on coming on before you at 9 a.m. I really do. But if this ever interfered with the possibility of my brothers, my three brothers that I love, for them to succeed, for them to have a better job, again, I love y'all. But you know what I'm going to say? Peace. I'm out. You know why? Because my brothers mean the world to me. I will take a bullet for my brothers. I will die for them. I will quit this program if there's any way that they would benefit from it. Minerva Peña didn't. Nepotism runs rampant in the school district. Conflicts of interest are real. Maybe that's the reason why parents don't send their children to BISD, because of corruption, because of nepotism. It doesn't help, right? It doesn't. It doesn't help. Minerva Peña has had a conflict of interest. She had her daughter-in-law hired, and then when they asked her to resign so they can keep her daughter-in-law employed, she said, no, I'm not going to do it. And now you know the rest of the story. The most recent conflict of interest involved board members Frank Ortiz and the Golden Girl. Did you know that there was some sort of relationship between Frank Ortiz and the Golden Girl? Nobody did. They are cousins through marriage of some sorts. Now, the line of consanguinity, I'm probably butchering the word, but if there is some sort of relationship to the first or second degree, there's an issue there. Now, board members always talk about transparency, transparency, transparency. That is a word that gets used too often, right? That bothers me because when it comes down to it, these people aren't transparent. They only like to use a word, but they're not transparent. Now, I got a lot of flack for it because the Golden Girl, she was a previous administrator, experience at HR, experience as a principal. She was with the school district, and she said, "Oh no, she is the best candidate, the perfect candidate. Don't mind, her age. Don't mind her relationship to Frank. No, no, no. This is great. This is great." But whenever we have this issue, whenever I have this issue of potential conflicts of interest, you, the community, deserve to know. Now, when shortly after Erasmo Castro passed away, they waited to the 11th hour. They did not want this to go out for a special election. They purposely did this. Why? Because the board wanted to choose a títere, wanted to choose somebody that they couldn't control. At the end of the day, that's what it was all about. That's why they were so upset when someone like Erasmo Castro won, because he couldn't be controlled. He was that swing vote and that 3-3 lock. There were multiple people. I want to say maybe 12 people applied for that position, possibly more. And never through that process was it ever known, at least not to me. Maybe you as a viewer could correct me and say, "Oh, I knew about this." And Frank Ortiz let the attorneys know. He filed a conflict of interest. And look, we understand. Maybe they're like the compadres or the comadre. You know how we say, es mi tía, o es mi tío, o es mi primo, o es mi... When essentially they're nothing, but you have that closeness, right? You have that family. You have a bond with that person, right? You have a bond with them, and to you, they're more than just family. We understand that we could all possibly have those relationships with people, right? It's okay. It's normal. I consider friends that I've known for 30 years to be like my buds, like my brothers, like my sisters, because they know who I am, right? Now, this was a case of where the Golden Girl is the cousin to Frank's wife through marriage. Now, again, is it like a cousin, like, tú eres mi primo, tú eres mi prima, tú eres... Or is it really, really like blood cousins? And look, if there is no conflict of interest, wouldn't it be wise to say, "Hey, look, for transparency purposes, just letting it known that this individual, yes, she is the wife of my cousin, but I've already spoken with legal, and based on the line of consanguinity, whatever, I am able to vote on this person's appointment to this BISD school board." Maybe we might have not agreed with it, but at least they say it in an open forum. They post it on social media. But did you ever hear that? I didn't. So Frank Ortiz voted for a cousin, essentially. Isn't that a conflict of interest? Isn't that tainting the process? We are supposed to be fair and impartial and never, always avoid the appearance of impropriety. Attorneys know about that. Judges know about that. Lady Liberty has her eyes closed. Why? Because justice can't be bought. Justice is impartial. Justice is fair. There was a conflict of interest when Frank Ortiz chose the Golden Girl to replace Erasmo Castro on that school board. Did you ever hear about that? Frank Ortiz voted against the bond at one time that was valued at $250 million. Once the Golden Girl was voted in, now he was part of the majority. Then he became the vice president. And then he voted for the bond that was now at $500 million. What changed from February, March to May, June? Was it the appointment of the Golden Girl? Did Frank want to get tired of being in the minority with Carlos and being under Carlos's skin? And ya, Carlos, déjame en paz. I have my majority now. I got the vice presidency. I have my cousin on the school board. Makes you wonder. Makes you wonder. Again, did you know that Frank Ortiz was cousins with the Golden Girl? And people were people were criticizing me. Oh, you're just bitter. Oh, you no, baby girl. Our program calls a spade a spade. We're not like Susan Rubalcaba, who one day we call somebody corrupt, and then when it benefits us, oh no, they're the best thing to ever happen since mayonnaise and ketchup. Oh no, nothing is wrong. That's why I have no respect for someone like Susan Rubalcaba. She has no spine. How can you say someone's corrupt one year and the very next year endorse Pedrito Cárdenas? Am I missing something here? But again, that who claims to be for the people, hombre, sácate. Again, did you know that Frank Ortiz was cousins with the Golden Girl? Isn't that a conflict of interest? And if it wasn't, why didn't he call me out? Why didn't he post on his social media? Why didn't he address it at a school board meeting and say, look, there is this thing going around, and I just want to assure everybody nothing was wrong. Does money change people, Treviño? Again, Frank Ortiz voted to increase your property taxes. He was in support to increase your property taxes. Will you remember when Frank Ortiz comes up for re-election next year in November? I hope you do, because it's people like Frank that really piss me off, who comes in as a little sheep. Oh, no, I'm a former principal, and oh, I'm going to do what's in the best interest. Frank, I got a story on you, Frank. I'm just waiting for the 1,000 subscribers. It's coming. Frank Ortiz will be asking for your vote, City of Brownsville. He was in support of raising your taxes. Remember that whenever he comes up for re-election. Yesterday, if you missed yesterday's story, I encourage you to do so. Yesterday, we talked about censoring Carlos Elizondo. We showed you how this individual has had a pattern that is reckless. This individual does not respect his fellow board members. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, possibly 2.5 years ago, he was previously censored for being disrespectful to board president Jessica Gonzalez. At that time, he couldn't follow the Robert's Rules of Order. He was censored at one time. Carlos Elizondo had a FU shouting match in an open forum with a BISD secretary in front of the world to see. The secretary was reprimanded. She was suspended for a day. I think she was docked a day. I think she lost money. Did anything happen to Carlos Elizondo? No. Carlos Elizondo, I challenge you. Deny my allegations that you were behind the Jazz Marie Reyes profile, Facebook profile, that you were disseminating and viciously attacking people such as Obed Leal and Charlie Atkinson, who were employees at Rivera High School, the same high school where your wife is a counselor. Carlos Elizondo and Cindy Elizondo, husband and wife, they knew of the culture that existed, and I want to dare say still exists at Rivera High School today, where coaches, teachers were having relationships with students. This has been going on for 20 years. I don't say it. I brought 2 victims before the community. One that goes back 20 years that accused Farley Treviño, and one 10 years that said I had sexual intercourse with Trujillo at least 3 times. No, 10 times, she said. She described his house. I showed you text messages. They knew about the culture. Did they say anything about it? No. Yesterday's program, we showed how Carlos Elizondo used a Jazz Marie profile to post a BISD logo, a letterhead, saying that Charlie Atkinson was given a raise and something about an apartment. This was around the time where there was rumors that coaches and students were having relationships. It's a school board member's obligation and duty to report and keep our children safe. Why would he say this? Those are very serious allegations. The safety and well-being of these teachers, of these students, is paramount. It's the number one priority of each and every board member. The day this program outed Jazz Marie Reyes as being Carlos Elizondo, or Carlos Elizondo having some sort of something to do with that platform, with that page, it was taken down. It was taken down. We went on live at 9. We got off at 10:30. By 12 p.m., the page went dark. Carlos Elizondo is a coward. And then at the last meeting that they had, he called his colleagues effing stupid. Again, no respect at all. Now, many people applaud him. Many people say, oh, well, yeah, that's the way we feel. Ladies and gentlemen, this isn't the local PTA. This isn't the student council meeting. This is the BISD board members who govern. Is this the example we want to give to staff and students? You think parents look at that and say, yes, I want to send my child to BISD. Look at the role model that we have in Carlos Elizondo. If the school board does not censor him, it is sending a bad message. So anyone who has a disagreement with the board could call them effing stupid in a public forum and nothing's going to get done. Those people are going to say, free speech. Again, he is entitled to free speech all he wants, but it comes with consequences because you have to respect your fellow board members. Now, if he were to say this in his private Facebook page, in his personal Facebook page, that's fine and dandy. He could. I encourage him to do so. But he did it in an open forum at a meeting. Like, come on. What more do you need, school board members? Censor Carlos Elizondo and let him know that behavior is unacceptable. For today's program, conflicts of interest, Carlos Elizondo is currently being investigated by the FBI, the three-letter agency, for providing information to a certain insurance vendor. I went back. If you go back to May's city, the city of Brownsville municipal races, where we covered Perito Cárdenas, I showed you a diagram, and I was criticized and said, "Oh, Frankie's crazy. He's throwing stuff at the wall," only to be proven right. Gustavo de Leon and Perito Cárdenas strong-armed Helen Ramirez, the city manager, to get Carlos Elizondo a job at the city. The city and county currently have a new insurance vendor. I forget their name, something with an F, Foresters or something with an F. Correct me if you know, Chet, let me know. They're out of Harlingen. They're currently in business with the city, and they're currently in business with the county, if I'm not mistaken. They wanted to make waves and get into the school district through Carlos. And what did Carlos do? There is an RFP, request for proposal, RFP, a request for proposal that was going on back in 2023. And guess who was involved in that? In giving that insurance vendor sensitive information that he shouldn't have given them? Carlos Elizondo. You think I'm lying, huh? I showed you the video yesterday. It's been on my page. If you're curious and think that we're lying, I encourage you to follow our page yesterday. That's a big conflict of interest for someone such as Carlos of interest, What I do know about Carlos's wife is this. While she was at Rivera, she knew of what Trujillo was doing, knew that the kid met his parents, and knew about the apartment that him, Charlie, and other coaches share. Teachers are also started hearing rumors and knew the truth, but she scared them into staying quiet because she told them that if they reported or said anything, they would be fired. She didn't care if it was senior teachers or new ones. She threatened them with their jobs and other consequences. Thank you for that information. This is the community saying these things, ladies and gentlemen. This isn't me. I'm just a middleman. They just use me for my platform. Carlos Lizondo is ensnared in this insurance issue. And mind you, tomorrow, what are we? I think tomorrow's today's Wednesday, Thursday, tomorrow's Thursday. Tomorrow, Thursday, there's a facilities meeting and an insurance meeting. You know we're going to watch that. Carlos Elizondo is thick in the mud for those people that, applaud him. And Carlos may not make it next year. Carlos may be arrested again. You don't believe me, huh? You know what we talk about is accurate. Now, do we get things 100% right? No, but I would dare say we're 85, 90% right. You know this platform is all about business. And Carlos Elizondo is actively being investigated by the FBI. Ooh. You don't believe me, huh? Stay tuned. Why don't you ask him? Why doesn't nobody ask him? Tovar, he actually has a hearing today. I will check in with my sources. Ricky Trujillo, the coach, the former coach, teacher at Rivera that was arrested for having an improper relationship with a student, did have court this morning. He was set for announcements at 8:30. As soon as I'm done, or let me text right now. Let me see what I could find. There was somebody that was supposed to sit in. So he does have court this morning. Thank you for bringing it up, Tovar. As soon as I find out there was somebody that was going to be there in my place, again, I have to be here at 9 a.m. and they will let me know as soon as information gets done. I anticipate they will be asking for a continuance, but we will see. We will see. Where can we watch? I'll try my best to be at court next time. I'll give you that if there is a next time, because I do wanna be there. So thank you so much for that. So again, each and every board member that we've talked about so far has a certain conflict of interest. Carlos Elizondo is probably one of the most. Him and Daniela are probably one of the most damaging ones. They say where there's smoke, someone's lighting a no. There's fire, ladies and gentlemen. There's fire. Again, the three-letter agency is actively looking into allegations that Carlos Elizondo provided a certain insurance vendor with information that they were not supposed to receive. That is the same thing that Sylvia Atkinson was accused of. What will happen? Jessica Gonzalez. Jessica Gonzalez has served and recently won her election this past time. And Jessica Gonzalez, look, before I start, I always try to avoid criticizing, attacking people based on their looks. People have asked me, look, attack this person. You know, they're fat, they're ugly, they're this, they're that. I'm like, nope, I'll never do it. That's I agree with you, Tovar. I will never use this mic to belittle people. I will never use this mic to weaponize, to make fun. That's not my job. I'm not the most handsome guy. I'm not the most good looking and stuff like that. And to me, it's just about respect. To me, it's all about respect. I just try to avoid that. And then also, me being a man, it looks bad. It looks bad when a man talks about a woman, especially her physique, especially her looks. I try to avoid that. But for this instance, I think it fits the narrative. I think it fits what we've been talking about. Jessica Gonzalez is the wife of a mechanic. Nothing wrong with that. More power to them. From my understanding, maybe she is now, but at one point, she wasn't employed. She ran on this notion of being a parent, and that it would be beneficial for the community to have someone on the school board that was a parent. It obviously resonated with people because she got elected not once but twice. What have we seen since then? Well, something that Erasmo Castro would call her, and I hate to use this word, he would call her snaggletooth. Again, I will never use this mic to belittle, to ridicule, to make fun of someone. But after I'm done with this person, I think you would understand the reason why I'm going there. You're talking about an individual that has a household with one income, to my understanding. She ran on the platform of being a mom that was actively involved in her children's school, which is great. It's a great thing. The picture on the left that you see is Jessica Gonzalez, shortly after winning her position on that school board against Philip Cowan. Look at her teeth. And look, for anyone that knows, getting dental work is very expensive. To get serious cosmetic work done, you're talking 5, 7, even more thousand. Dentures cost a lot of money. I deal with dentists all the time. My clients have dental issues. They have dental needs. It's not something where you spend a couple $100. How is it that Jessica Gonzalez, at one time before she was on the board, she could never afford designer bags? She could never afford a nice dress. She could never afford dental work. Look at the picture on the right. If you see Miss Jessica Gonzalez now she has braces. For you parents out there, how much do braces cost? 5,000, 7,000. They're not cheap, I'll tell you that. I don't know the exact amount, and everyone's different, right? Everyone has different needs. They're expensive. They're very expensive. So what changed? What happened when she first came on to now? Again, now she's wearing nice clothes. Now she has designer bags. Now she has dental work. And now, since she was in support of the increase of property taxes, now I guess she could afford an increase of property tax because she's on the school board? Maybe? Is there a conflict of interest with Jessica Gonzalez? Well, shortly after being elected, something interesting happened. After COVID, remember after COVID, when COVID happened, people were strapped for money. Times were tough. Banks, they weren't lending money out. Ladies and gentlemen, I know doctors, I know attorneys with credit scores of 700, 750, close to 800, and they couldn't get a loan from the bank. You know why? Because there was so much uncertainty. So much uncertainty out there that the banks weren't issuing out loans. Well, you want to know who got a loan from a bank? In a time where it was impossible to get a loan, I think she got one for $10,000. And you want to know from who she got it from? From a school board vendor, Lone Star National Bank, if I'm not mistaken. So again, do these people run because they want to change your quality of life? Breaking news. Ricky Trujillo's criminal case was reset to December the 1st for announcements. Is he going to plea on that day? We don't know. We like how Judge Cordova is keeping it close. We're not going to give you 6 months. No, get it done because he knows this is a high-profile case. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that to my sources that did show up at the hearing. Going back, where was I? The bank. I was at the bank, right? She got it loaned for $10,000. Who sits on the board of Lone Star National Bank? Patricia saying it. I'm not. Patricia saying it. Joey Lopez. Joey Lopez is father to Daniela Valdez, our current board president. Is there a conflict of interest that Jessica Gonzalez voted in favor of extending the contract of Lone Star National Bank? And then, miraculously, she got a loan for $10,000. Again, more power to her. But I ask you the question, Brownsville, would she have gotten this loan of $10,000 or X amount of dollars? Because then if I get the number wrong, be like, oh, you see, they're wrong and all their stuff is wrong. She got a significant amount in the thousands of dollars. I apologize. 5K. I apologize. 5K. I'm human. Again, nothing is scripted, ladies and gentlemen. Everything's off the dome. They say, oh, pues get on a script, chingo. So would she have gotten this loan? Possibly not. So is it a tit for tat where I give you a contract, but I'm going to ask for $5,000 for a loan? Again, people, I may not be a very smart man, Jenny, but I do know what love is. That doesn't sound right. How does one get, again, is this unheard of? No. But again, think of COVID. Everybody, I agree with you, Joel. Nobody to blame but us. But us. Now, is it impossible for someone to get a $5,000 loan? It's not impossible. But I take you back during the struggles that people were having during and after COVID. It was impossible to get a loan, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I'm thankful that I know doctors, I know lawyers, I know people that have money. I'm broke as fuck. They got money. And they said, ¿sabes qué, Frankie? Está cabrón ahorita. Cash is king. If you have cash right now, puedes comprar todo al contado. Houses were cheap. Condos at the island were cheap. Barato, $100K during COVID. Now those $100K condos, they're $275, $250, easy. So I ask you the question, was there a conflict of interest with Jessica Gonzalez of her dental work? Again, no disrespect, just asking questions. Would she have been able to get this dental work if she wasn't on the school board? Possibly not. Would she dress in nice clothing? Would she have designer bags if she wasn't on the school board? I don't know. Possibly not. Could she have gotten a $5,000 loan if she wasn't on that school board? I don't know. Possibly not. You know where I'm going with this, ladies and gentlemen. It is a clear conflict of interest. Pícame los ojos one time. And now you know the rest of the story. But Daniela Lopez Valdez. I was criticized, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't already, make sure you go to the Human Being on Alton Glory, great coffee. I was criticized for posting that Daniela Lopez Valdez does not believe in BISD. She sends her kids to private school. Now, people are saying, oh, well, you're taking personal attacks. A leader Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. Look, I'm a human being. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm a human being. I'm a human being. If I'm wrong, chat, I'm big enough to say, you know what? I got it wrong. Rosa's correcting me right now. It's not 10,000, Frankie. It was 5,000. I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, if I'm reading this wrong, correct me. I don't have an ego. But to me, a leader leads by example. How can you claim that BISD is the best thing ever, but you send your kids to private school? And I got attacked by people, by fellow alumni from St. Joe, by people that send their kids to the same school, Episcopal, to send their kids to private school. I have nothing against sending people to private school. Do they provide a better education, better quality of education? Probably. But what they're not grasping is that Daniela Lopez Valdez is not your typical random parent that sends her kids to private school. She's the board president. And people said, oh, well, it's because BISD está por los suelos and she wants to get in there and fix it. So then when she fixes it, then she's going to send her kids to BISD. Ah, pues está cabrón entonces. Está cabrón. Because this is her second tenure, her second term. This is her 5th year. So when is she going to fix something? Are we going to give her another 4 years? Are we going to give her another 10 years? Are we going to be like Minerva Peña? Minerva Peña, stay there 10 years, fix it. Pícame los ojos, raza. Come on now. That's what I hate about people. They try to protect someone that is corrupt, that has only used her position on the school board because it benefits her and her family. You don't believe me? You don't believe me? Let's take a look at an article. Again, the pot cutting the kettle black. Juan Montoya, and I'm going to leave this story. And I posted it before, and I'm going to leave it for you. That way you know exactly what's going on. So you won't think that I'm bluffing, that I'm talking out of my butt. Juan Montoya had a very interesting story on how Jessica Gonzalez, who got a loan with Lone Star, is calling the kettle black, when Daniela Lopez Valdez, back in 2021, she granted and approved of Lone Star National Bank being the BISD bank depository and gave him a contract for 2 years. Now, going back to what Patricia Hernandez says, who sits on the Lone Star National Bank and receives $250 a month or a year, whatever it is, people might say, ay, Frankie, te estás quejando for $250. Hey, the appearance of impropriety. How can this woman vote on a vendor, vote on a bank that her father sits on, and nobody makes us think about it? Nobody says anything. What? Conflict of interest? No. ¿Cómo? ¿En serio? No te creo. No. Not only that, but again, in 2021, or during her first tenure, she voted to extend the contract that her father sits on the board for. That's one. 2, Redfish. In 2021, she voted for Redfish to have a contract. Now, again, somebody brought it up to my attention. Frankie, don't you find it weird that during COVID, during 2021, there was no students on campus? Now, it was a choice. You could either send your kid to campus or they could do Zoom. Parents' choice. They weren't at 100% at the schools. So what were they recycling? Why were there such an urge, a need to get into a contract for a recycling service that you knew very well that you weren't going to be using? And then they wonder how I need a loan. Hey, mochate, yo dito feria. Oh, Rosas, 5,000 for the braces. I want to say the loan, Jessica Gonzalez's loan was for 10,000. I could be wrong. Um, so they essentially awarded this Redfish contract back in 2021 after COVID, when everything was still, there was a lot of uncertainty. Why are you spending money in the hundreds of thousands of dollars? Shouldn't we be fiscally responsible with our money? Look at the trouble that we're in now. We're having to ask the people, you, the constituent, for a vote to increase your taxes, when this woman is giving her friends and her compadres and her employer hundreds of thousands of dollars. Am I crazy? Am I loco? Am I making sense? Is there anyone out there? Nobody else sees this? Am I the only one? There's an elephant in the room, ladies and gentlemen, and nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about the conflict of interest that she has. And people said, "Ay, Frankie, how dare you say that?" Why is she there? Why is she there? Why is a board member with a vendor that has business relationships with the school board? Isn't that a bad look? Isn't optics bad for people? I don't know. Is it, ladies and gentlemen? Daniela Lopez Valdez has been just like her father. They cannot survive without the public tit. They need the taxpayer money because they themselves aren't qualified. They themselves are not capable of making it out in the real world. Ladies and gentlemen, I am a small business owner. Let me tell you, ta cabrón. It's tough out here. I don't know if I'm going to pay my bills. I don't know if I'm going to eat. Nah, I'm kidding. I eat chingos. But it's difficult. Ask any business owner out here. Ta cañón la cosa. But you know what they do? They run for politics. They run to get a cushy job. They run to suck on the taxpayer tit. Daniela Lopez Valdez has learned from her father. It was stated to me that Joey Lopez ran his family business to the ground, the store that he was in charge of. So what did he do? He ran for public office. Now he's making so much money with all these great benefits. So how many conflicts of interest does Daniela Lopez Valdez have? Well, let's talk about them. The Multicultural District is given tax money. You, the voter, you, the constituent, you, a resident of the city of Brownsville, you are paying her salary because the Multicultural District is given hotel taxes by the city of Brownsville, and Daniela is their executive director. Question: do we pay part of her salary as constituents, as voters for the city of Brownsville? I will say yes. Is that a conflict of interest? I would dare say yes. Another one, the Lone Star National Bank. In 2021, she voted to transfer BISD funds to them, and her dad is on the board. Huh. Interesting. Now with Redfish, is she a consultant? Because she's a BISD board member making decisions for our district, and her kids are not even enrolled here. Do you see where I'm going at, chat? Do you see what I've tried to show you throughout today's program? These individuals don't run for public office to better your quality of life, to provide you and your children with a better future. They themselves benefit from it directly or indirectly. I spoke earlier of having a 4 to 5 year goal so I can help my community and in an even bigger capacity. I'm going to run for public office in the very near future. I'm going to ask for your support because I genuinely want to provide you and your family with a better quality of life. I genuinely mean it. I'm not going to be on the take. I will never, ever have a conflict of interest. You will never hear them accuse me of having my friends and family benefit from your position on whatever government entity we decide to serve you on, at the city, at the county, at the school district, or beyond. I focused and highlighted today's program as the conflict of interest of the school board. I showed you how these 7 individuals on this board are not worthy of your vote, are not worthy to serve you moving forward. Each and every one of these people deserve to go. 5, the Golden Girl, Frank Ortiz, Denise Garza, Daniel Lopez Valdez, Jessica Gonzalez. Those 5 voted to increase your property taxes. They didn't care whether you could afford it or not. They didn't care whether you were going to get kicked out or not by the county, that they were going to foreclose on your property. They didn't care about that. They don't care about you. They never have, and they never will. What about Carlos Elizondo and Minerva Peña? Have we as a community benefited from having those individuals on the school board for the past 10, 20 years? No. We as a school board, we have regressed. And it doesn't click in my mind. How are we going to keep on electing the same individuals if they keep producing the same results? No cuadra. Para mí no cuadra. I find it difficult. What's that saying? If we keep on doing the same thing and expect different results, that's insanity. That's crazy. I need to get to 1,000 subscribers in order for me to release those 3 banger stories. One involving sex on campus by administrators, another involving Frank Ortiz, very juicy one, and another involving a grading scandal at BISD, at a local high school. Ladies and gentlemen, what I do each and every morning, Monday through Friday, is not easy. Maybe I make it look easy, chinga. It's very difficult. I have been threatened with my life at least 2-3 times that I know of, possibly more. I have been threatened with results, with lawsuits. They're scared of someone that is going to tell you the truth. I will always be honest with my community. I will never hide anything from you. I've been very open about my past transgressions. I'm not proud of it, but I'll never shy away from that. I will never block people for posting my mugshot. I will never block people for talking ill will about me. I hope you know what you have in me. You have a fighter. You have someone that's going to be transparent in every sense of the word. I'm the type of person, ladies and gentlemen, that if you give me an opportunity, all these people se están jambando la feria. All these people are eating the pie. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take that pie and I'm going to bring it to your feet. And I'm going to say, here's your money. Here's your food, Brownsville. Eat. There's plenty to go around. I won't ask for much because God gave me a brain. God gave me the ability to make something out of myself. I live a very good life, a beautiful life, an amazing life. I cannot be bought. I will never turn my back on my community. So if you give me the opportunity, Brownsville, in the very near future, I will let you reap the spoils. I will ask you, what do you want me to do, Brownsville? Here is your money. Here is your pie. Enjoy it. Because these politicos, they eat and eat and eat and are on the fucking take. And what do we have to show for it? Our schools are falling. Our streets are depleted. We have no money because where does it go? Into their pocketbooks. If you give me an opportunity, Brownsville, I'll fucking show you what's up. People laugh at me, but they know that we're real. I hope you know that I'm genuine. And given the opportunity, I will bring about the positive change. We will bring about the positive change that we so desperately need in our area. Ya basta. Ya estamos hasta la madre con estos políticos que no se sacian, que no llenan, que se jamban la feria. Y nosotros, la raza, nos dan migajas. You want that? You want crumbs? No more crumbs, Brownsville. I'll give you the pie. I'll give you the money. I'll give you everything. I'll be your Robin Hood. I'll be your Batman if you let me. Ladies and gentlemen, Hernandez asked, what can be done? How can we remove these people that I have showed you time after time after time after time? It's nothing but a big conflict of interest. Everything is a conflict of interest. Why is that? Is there a coincidence behind that? Absolutely not, my people. It is done on purpose. While we, the community, suffer, while our children suffer, they benefit handsomely and they're getting fat. That's just the reality. How can we remove them? Just the way our community was really involved in this past November's election, I'm going to ask of you, we need to do more. These individuals are going to ask for your vote in the very near future. Let's get them all out. Joel Hernandez has a question. How can we remove them? Do not vote for them. Do not support them. Call them out on their crap. I know I will. I'll continue. I have done so before, and I'll continue to do so. I'm not afraid. I'm a fighter. I've said it before, and I'll never get tired of saying it. I want to go out on my shield. Yesterday, we honored those men and women for their sacrifices. Oh, what a great sacrifice it would be to go down on their shield, fighting for what we believe in, fighting for what we deserve. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my quest. I did not ask for this life. Never in my wildest dreams that I think that I will be coming on before you at 9 a.m. I have a responsibility. This is my destiny. And with your help, we will get things done. It's going to take all of us to make it happen. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel titled Frankie Olivo TV. Best believe Good Morning Brownsville will come on Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. religiously. We're going to keep on giving it to these motherfuckers. My name is Frankie Olivo, ladies and gentlemen, and this is Good Morning Brownsville. Peace! Flex on them hoes.